Hey everyone, we're here at Universal Studios Florida for the premiere of the Universal Cinematic Celebration. We've seen the technical rehearsals, and tonight is the debut, so we're going to see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen technical rehearsals. They've been doing that for approximately 2 weeks now.
Yep.
And on top of all the testing, we've been watching this for months. From the time they first drained the lagoon down a little bit and started installing the fountains, and tonight, finally, we're going to see the grand opening of Universal Cinematic Celebration. And we've got an interview right here with Michael Aiello.
Yep, so stay tuned. We got some cool stuff coming.
All right, we are here with Mike Aiello with Universal Entertainment, and we just saw the show. And what was the genesis for this? When you guys first started brainstorming this, what was like the little idea, the kernel that started this whole thing?
The kernel of the idea really was knowing the past two shows that we'd produced. Universal 360 was done in the mid-2000s. The first time we did media on the water. It involved map projection, and we had these domes that we projected within. And then we evolved that into Universal 100, that's our title for it, which was a linear fountain path with very large barges that had media water curtains. It was a great show, but also had a fairly big impact on the view of the lagoon. These were very large barges that we had built in order to produce the curtain that was really a great water image. So knowing that Universal 100 was, I think, on its 106th year, as far as the studio is concerned, we were already thinking about ways to re-engage the audience and produce a new nighttime show. Really, the genesis for this show was really walking the park with our team. We had already started the demo of the prior show when we came out here to kind of look at the area and figure out how can we engage the guests differently. The biggest thing for me was creating a show that every guest can get a proper perspective of. Any theater in the round is always a challenge, and every nighttime show we've ever produced has always been in the round, and we've left it to our guests to really define the area they want to stand in order to take the show in. We wanted to eliminate that with this show. We wanted to create an area where everybody get the same perspective, and by nature of where we're placed, it did start to begin the process of the depth that we could create with a show like this. Knowing fountains were going to be a part of it, we knew media, all that was going to be part of this show, and then looking at our buildings, we decided, okay, well let's learn from what we did in Universal 360. Let's take the buildings, let's take the fountains we did in Universal 100, combine that together, and then the other major plot point in our creative process was deciding on what was the fabric of the show. Past two shows were about Universal Pictures and the library of films that Universal's created. For this one, we all really felt strongly about making a show that was about what the guests experienced here at the park. And of course, there's a lot of Universal property with that. E.T., all of the Illumination, Minions, and Sing, and Pets. But we also knew we had a lot of brands that we license and create attractions based on brands that aren't necessarily Universal Pictures, but are definitely Universal Orlando, Transformers, Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So we wanted to create a show that allowed the guests to experience these brands and have time with them, because the last two shows were all media-based, and it was very quick montage edits of a lot of different films at once. So for this one, we decided let's segment the show so we can spend time with the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and spend time with the adrenaline rush of Fast and Furious. And how can we create that in a water-based show that is exciting, that has a scale to it that is unlike anything that we've done here at Universal Studios Florida.
I know you and your team all have your personal favorites that are in the show. I've talked with you before. E.T., I know, has a very personal thing for you since you were a kid. Yeah. How much did we need to get that into the show?
It was a lot. It was Jason McManus and I. He's the creative director, collaborating with me on this. It was a sit-down session of just kind of listing off all the things we know that are here at the parks. And E.T. was always at the top of the list for a lot of reasons. One, you're right. It is one of my favorite films. It was the first movie I saw in the theater as a kid. So that affected me in a really awesome way. And second, it is the oldest attraction we have here at the studio park. So we wanted to make sure not only are we featuring the latest brands and attractions that we got in the show, we wanted to make sure people had time with one of the older attractions that we have. And you cannot go wrong with the bike flying across the moon, projected on water. It is a beautiful moment in the show. And you cannot go wrong with John Williams' scores. So between those two things, it was pretty much a no-brainer to have it in the show and give it the respect it deserves. And there's even a little Easter egg at the end of the show, right? At the last
I love
note
how
of the show,
you guys snuck that in.
there's Carl Johnson did all of our music, and he recomposed and adapted all of these scores. Did an amazing job, and that was a nice little gift right at the end to hear the twinge of those notes right before the show ends.
One other question I have is, you guys had a massive canvas for this show.
Yeah.
What were the trial and error, the toughness to create? You had a sense of depth you didn't get to have in the previous show. What was that like to create that? You got projection mapping on New York Street. You've got multiple projections in the lagoon. What was that like to try to create that depth, that canvas?
It was a process. A tool that we used in this show that we didn't use in any other nighttime show was pre-visualization software. I mean, we were able to create this show in the computer before we ever came out here and did it practically. So we were able to see the fountains interact with the building, see the different fans interact with each other, months and months and months before we installed a single fountain. So that tool alone, honestly, in our process, knowing how quickly we put this show up, was really the linchpin in allowing us to be able to create the show we have. It informed every decision that we made collectively to be able to decide what media we think is going to work. And then even still, there's an adaptation once you bring it to the water, because that's the computer. It's going to look one way. It's going to give you a really good idea, but it's not physical water. It's not physical light. So being able to come out here and then adapt that previs into a realistic setting was also a huge part of this process. I mean, weeks and weeks were spent with Jason and all of our technicians to be able to figure out how everything we saw on the computer was going to look just as good here on the water. And I gotta say, I think it looks even better on the water than it did in the computer.
One last question. I know you guys are always brainstorming. I gotta ask, maybe one day, or maybe a holiday show or a horror show?
Here's the thing, I can't talk about any future stuff, but if you know everything we've done in the past with when we install applications like this, we build it so that it is malleable. We build it so that we can affect change on it. I won't say easily, because it's never easy, but we ensure that if and when we want to make really good and dedicated change, we provide ourselves with the runway to do that.
Hey everyone, we just saw the world
of color.
Hey everyone, we just saw the premiere of Universal Cinematic Celebration, and both of us saw one of the technical rehearsals, and I am amazed the tweaks and the improvements they've made since that technical rehearsal.
Yeah, I was recording, and I was trying to watch and record at the same time, and they've really made some huge changes since the technical rehearsals. I mean, the technical rehearsal that I saw, it was raining, it was miserable, so I didn't get the best experience, the best first impressions of the show. But tonight it ran beautifully. They've tweaked the screens, the lasers,
some of the music.
Yep.
The biggest thing was the Jurassic section, which begins the show, began with the Jurassic Park theme, which made a world of difference. Yep. They were using a temp score during the tech rehearsals. Now they got that theme. I mean, it just makes goosebumps come up on your skin, and that was, I think, one of our complaints when we first saw the tech rehearsals, that Jurassic didn't have the oomph that it should.
Yeah.
Now it does.
And I think I mentioned it in the podcast. They in the Jurassic World section, it's just Jurassic World. But now that they've kind of overlaid the Jurassic Park theme song, I mean, the original Jurassic Park theme song, like Barry said, it made all the difference in the world. And that scene, that whole Jurassic Park section, is really cool. So
I thought Fast and Furious was better, even though I'm not a fan, but that was where the lasers first made their appearance, and they definitely added a little extra pop there. E.T. is E.T. E.T. is, I mean, you know, we talked to Mike Aiello. That's one of his personal things about getting E.T. in the show, and E.T. is one of my all-time favorite movies, so that part always, you know, whenever I hear that score, it just, you know, makes me cry.
Like you said, it's John Williams.
Yes, it's John Williams. You cannot use John Williams. Once again, the first part of the show that gets the biggest pop is the end is Trolls at the end of the DreamWorks sequence, which the DreamWorks sequence is really cool, with How to Train Your Dragon, Kung Fu Panda, and I like that they use Kung Fu Panda too, because that's my favorite Kung Fu Panda movie. I think it's the best one. And, I mean, and they use that final battle scene, which is just perfect for the show.
Yeah.
With the fireballs and stuff. And then ends it with the trolls, and you can't stop the feeling. And that's the first part of the show that gets a big applause break at the end of it.
And like Barry was saying, the troll section, like he just said, actually gets the biggest. Actually, the first huge reaction from the crowd, I think, is the trolls segment. When that Justin Timberlake song comes on, everybody goes crazy.
And that's when for the first time there's a lot of fireworks going off.
Yeah, that
I
too.
mean, they've done really good with building the show throughout and holding back things throughout the show.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to give everything away at once. And then, you go from that. Transformers, they're battling.
Yeah.
I like some of the projection in that part, especially with the panels that flip.
Mm-hmm.
Looks really cool. We got the Illumination part where they use
Sing.
Secret Life of Pets, Sing, which is, I mean, why not use I'm Still Standing? I mean, it's a great song.
Yeah.
It's Elton John. Why not use that? And then of course we got to use Happy, because it's the Minions that end the segment.
Can't not have the Minions.
Yes, you can't have them. Harry Potter has some really cool effects. My only complaint, I don't like some of the score parts they used for that. They didn't use some of the more emotional ones that I feel like.
I'll have to go. I can't remember some of the music in the Harry Potter section.
But it's got a lot of cool effects, especially there's fire. It's the one part of the show that's got fire in it.
Yeah, because they integrate some of the spells, like Hermione does the Incendio spell, and there's all sorts of fire, and then what's the other spell that she uses? Oh, the Wingardium Leviosa.
Yeah.
She uses that one too, and the fountains kind of go up, and they kind of integrate some of the spells with the fountains and stuff. So that's really cool. So.
And then we get to the finale, and they definitely hold back some of the fountain stuff in the finale. The fountains get huge.
Yeah, they go pretty high.
Way up, and I like how everybody gets a curtain call at the end with the projections, except for the Vin Diesel and his weird thing he does. And then, like we said in the interview we did with Mike Aiello, they snuck a little ET right there at the end.
I still haven't heard it, so I'm gonna have to go back and listen.
It's right at the end. They sneak that ending of saying goodbye, the final music. When ET's ship leaves in the movie, they weave it in right at the end, and they hold back. Right, that I like how they've integrated the lasers into the finale too, because it's got that really, right when it gets to the end, it's got that really crazy. The lights are going crazy, the lasers are going crazy, and tons of fireworks are.
I tried to pick
off.
up on the lasers, and they because that was one of the things that they didn't have during the technical rehearsals, and the lasers do add a cool little effect to some of the scenes. So overall, huge improvements since the technical rehearsals. The show is firing on all cylinders. It's easily a top nighttime show here in Orlando. I hope we see more, like Halloween Horror Nights show, Christmas show. Now that Universal has this fountain platform, I'm hoping. So
yeah, I mean, we asked him that, we had to ask him that question at the end there, and he can't say yes,
yeah.
But come on, they spent all this money to put in this technology.
Yep.
And all they have to do is pre-program it for different shows.
So
maybe in the future we'll get a horror show or a holiday show. It would make sense.
It would.
But right now, this is the best nighttime show Universal has ever had.
Oh, easily. It's
one of the best shows, I think, in Orlando now. I would rate it. I would rate it up there.
If I think about it, yeah.
But the key thing is there's really no other fountain show in Orlando. I mean. Like Ignite over at SeaWorld has some fountains, but not like this.
And Illumination's fountains you can barely see.
Yeah, this is California, Disney's California has World of Color. This is Universal's really their version of World of Color, except they've got elements in this show that World of Color doesn't have.
Yeah, like the projection mapping.
The projection mapping, and I say it's a must show. This is what Universal's needed, a reason for you to stay and end the night here and watch this show. So.
Yeah, Aiello himself said it's a good kiss goodnight from Universal, and I agree with him completely. It's a great way to end the night. So if you're ever coming to Universal, make sure you stay for the show because it's awesome. We loved it. Now that it's tweaked and running, like I said, running on all cylinders, it's a great addition to the park. So I'll be excited to see where they go from here. So thanks guys for watching. Barry, you want to do YouTube and all that stuff?
Yeah, remember, click that subscribe button right here on this page. Subscribe to the ThrillGeek.com YouTube channel, and we'll see you in the parks.